He makes you feel chosen, really, really chosen, special, mature. Like you are not like the other girls your age. And somehow he recognized it in you before you recognized it in yourself. And after dealing with men your age who could not even make a decision about dinner, this actually feels like relief. And it feels like finally being with someone who has got it together. And then slowly, very slowly, so slowly that you almost don't notice, things start to shift a little. His attentiveness starts to feel a little bit like monitoring. His confidence starts to feel more like control. And you realize in all of this that you being chosen felt great in the moment, but you were never really asked what you wanted. Now, let me be very clear. I am not here to tell you who to date. I am not here to tell you that every old man is a predator, and I am not here to tell you that your age gap relationship is doomed. What I am here to do is give you the tools, the framework, the questions, and the language that I wish someone had given me and that I wish someone had given a lot of the women in my life that I love before they and I walked into situations that cost them years of their life, their sense of self, and their confidence. By the end of this video, you are going to know what red flags to look for and how to tell the difference between a relationship that is actually good for you and one that is built on a power imbalance designed to keep you small. Hi, I'm Whitney Marie. If you're new, welcome. If you're back, hey girl. This is the home of soft glam and hard truths. And this channel is for the woman whose life is together on the outside, but still working on some of those things on the inside. We've got style, relationships, self-concept, and the things that nobody says out loud, but I will. Because at the end of the day, this is all about mastering the art of becoming your own favorite person. Let's get into it. My first husband was 5 years older than me. It's not a significant age gap, but if you saw my age gap calculator, you might feel differently because at the time we began dating, I was 24. Okay? But you can go back and watch that. It's not a dramatic age gap on paper, but he used those 5 years as such a weapon throughout the entirety of our relationship that I began to question so many opinions and choices and decisions that I would make for myself in my life. Anytime he had an opinion that I disagreed with, he would constantly say, "You don't know, you've never experienced that, you're too young to understand." Lots and lots of things and conditioning around age and not being smart enough or not know well enough. Honestly, slowly, before I even realized that, I started to believe that myself. And I used to second guess myself without even like an initial thought. And I would, in my own mind, before I even formed a thought to articulate, I would second guess myself and didn't realize what was happening to me in real time. And I think it was because he had spent so long conditioning me to believe that my opinion was the least relevant one in the room. That's kind of how I began to operate. And then there was an ex-boyfriend of mine. He was 7 years older than I, 23 and 30, if I remember correctly. And what ended that relationship was I'd caught him cheating. And I was so proud that I actually left, but I caught him cheating on someone that was 4 years younger than me. Okay, I was 23. He was 30. The girl was 19. And I remember sitting with that information and being like, he did not want a woman. He wanted someone to control. He wanted the youngest option available to him. And when I started to grow, when I started to realize and know myself better, that's when I started to understand and I became harder to manipulate. He found someone newer and she had not figured out yet what his plan was. So maybe you're somebody right now that your age comes up in your relationship more often than it should. Maybe you find yourself shrinking, maybe you find yourself playing small, your opinions, your beliefs, etc. Because somewhere along the way, you were taught that your opinion based on your age was not as important as theirs. Maybe you've already been through this and you're still untangling who you were before him. Either way, you were in the right place. Keep watching. Now, not every age gap relationship ends up here, but enough do that it warrants a discussion. So we spend a lot of time asking the question, should I date this older man and take him seriously? And that is the wrong question, babes. The right question is, why does this particular man want to date me? Why does he consistently seek out women that are significantly younger than him and even less established than he is? What does that age gap give him that a woman his own age would not? Because a woman his own age would know better. She would have enough life experience to recognize his patterns, to see the manipulation come from a mile away. She would likely not be easily impressed by what he may have built. She may know that he actually is broke in real life. That happens, okay? We could tell. And for some men, not all, but some, that is exactly why he pursues who he pursues. So here is the hard truth, and I'm going to say it because can't nobody beat me up. There are men who pursue women that are significantly younger than them, not because of any sort of genuine connection, but because they want someone that they can shape, that they can influence, that they can architect from the ground up. Someone who does not yet know her own worth, someone whose inexperience makes it easier to impress, someone who will, I can't believe that shiny object going to a meal that anyone else in their 30s or 40s would not necessarily scoff at. Perfect example. I don't know if you guys watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, but there is Martell Holt. And it was three men discussing one of the men dating someone new. So Martell says, you should probably get somebody 27 so you can shape them. Mind you, he's talking to a man who is in his late 30s, mid to late 30s. And so the gentleman says, I don't want nobody that's 27. And Martell responds, well, I mean, you can shape them. You can, da 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 da. And the third gentleman chimes in and says, control them. Real life example. There are men having these conversations, and there are men that intentionally think like that and seek out young women for that purpose and that purpose alone. Not every age gap relationship is going to be this way. There are some genuine connections, I'm sure, that can happen across age differences. Those relationships look starkly different from the ones that I'm describing. And the difference is not just the years between them. The difference is whether or not he's invested into your growth, your becoming, who you are, etc. So let's talk about the questions that you need to be asking yourself and him. So I have 3 teaching points that I want you to really hone into. First, these are the questions that you need to ask yourself about that person. So you need to be watching for patterns over time, not just things in the beginning, but literally what he says in the beginning versus what he's doing consistently across months or even years. The first one, and these are things that I have experienced as well, does he use your age against you? When you disagree, when you push back, when you confront, is your age consistently brought up as a point why your opinion does not matter? 2, does he celebrate your growth, or does he get quieter, more controlling, seemingly a little jealous that you are doing things outside of your relationship to enhance who you are? 3, this is very important, but what is his history with women? Is he consistently dating women that are much younger than him? And what happened with those relationships? How did they end? Did they end when those young women grew up and found themselves? Lastly, does he have genuine, long-lasting friendships with women his own age? And this might be funny, but it's very, very important. Women who know him well and respect him, or is it just women that may admire him, may have a crush on him, etc.? Now, teaching point 2 is going to be questions that you need to ask about yourself. Now, this one might be a little bit triggering, but I promise you it is a part of the inner work that we have to do in order to get to the other side. Sometimes the pull towards older men is about something that we have not fully healed within ourselves. And naming it does not make it a weakness. It just is the beginning of the protection of yourself and understanding the source of what drew you to them. So you need to ask yourself, question number 1, am I drawn to his age and experience because it represents genuine compatibility, or does it represent some sort of safety, whether financially, emotionally, or the like? Like there's someone that can figure things out for myself since I haven't really figured them out on my own. 2, do I feel I can disagree with him? Not just in small things, but things that actually matter. Do my opinions land in this relationship as of something of importance? Are they respected? Or do they circle back to me needing to learn more? 3, this is really important. Has my world gotten smaller since being with him? What I mean by that is, has your circle of friends shrunk? Are you hanging out with them as much as you have? What about your family? Even things like your ambition, your sense of self, those things are what I mean by has your world gotten smaller? And lastly, if my best friend described this relationship to me from the outside, would I be worried about her? And you really need to be honest with that one, okay? Now, the last piece of this teaching are the red flags that are not up for debate, baby. They're not up for debate. They're not up for interpretation. I'm not about to argue about them because this is accurate. Red flag number 1, he uses your age or inexperience to dismiss your feelings, override your decisions, or make you feel like your perspective is invaluable. 2, he has a pattern of dating younger women, significantly younger women, and his previous relationships ended around the time that those women began to grow up. 3, he is subtly the center of your everything. You have stopped doing a lot of your hobbies, your friendships. He doesn't encourage you to have relationships or friendships outside of him in small and subtle ways. Red flag 4, you find yourself trying to manage your perception of him more often than not, and definitely more often than you can actually be yourself around him. And lastly, your gut is telling you that something is wrong. Now, in my previous video, I said our guts be a little leaky sometimes. We can't always rely on the gut, but there is always something in our women's body, DNA, instinctual nature that tells us something is wrong. That is also a red flag, and I need you to lean into it and listen to it. Now, here is the part that I'm going to be completely honest with you about. Some of you are going to finish this video and be like, but we have so much in common. He gets me in a way that nobody else does. He wines and dines me. And maybe that is all true. I am not inside of your relationship, but I want you to sit with this one question. Do you actually have as much in common as you think? Or has he been so skilled at making you feel understood that you have not even noticed how much of yourself you have quietly set aside to fit in his world? Because there's a difference between being deeply known and being carefully managed. One of the ways you can tell the difference is this. In a relationship where you are deeply known, you grow, you shine, you become more of yourself over time and not less. Your voice gets stronger, louder, not quieter, and your world gets bigger and not smaller. And if that is what's happening, that is your answer, not mine. Yours. Now you have the questions, you have the framework, you have the language for what you may not have had before that you could not name. And that particular language is the ability to name what is happening. And it's one of the most powerful protective tools that you can have in your womanly toolbox that exists. Because predatory dynamics really survive and bloom in silence and confusion. I'm telling you this from experience. They cannot survive on a woman who is clear. They cannot survive on a woman that has a great sense of self, a great sense of self-confidence and self-worth about herself. Cannot exist with a woman who trusts herself and trusts her own instincts over anything that anyone else has to say. And that is the woman that we're building here. That is the whole point of this channel. I want to remind you. So I want to hear from you. I'd love for you to leave me a comment and finish the sentence specifically. The sign I kept ignoring was blank. You don't have to share details. You don't even have to be in an age gap relationship for this to apply, because naming it, even in a comment section, is an act of reclaiming your own reality. And if this video said something that needed to be said, please make sure that you share this with your daughters, your nieces, your cousins, all of the like, because somewhere in your circle or your family or your friends, there is a woman who is in the middle of this right now and does not yet have the language or the words for what she is going through. And I want you to be the one who gives them to her. So subscribe for more of this, more conversation, and more of the inner work that is designed to help you change your life and become your favorite person. New videos every week. Don't forget to subscribe, like for more. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks for rocking with me. Bye.